Well, this one has smoke from both sides. Good morning everyone. Today we're with IACT on a Tanggal Bulok, Tanggal Usok operation to remove the worst of the jeepneys from the road. Those are smoke belching, poor tires, no working lights, hole in the body, things like that. Now, of course, the first thing that comes to your mind is how do they keep getting a registration every year? But let's ignore that for now and at least follow along on this IACT operation. You have LTFRB, LTO, Philippine Coast Guard, natural IACT employees. Over here you'll see one of the LTFRB has the laptop so they can instantly check if the franchise is valid. There are a lot of jeepneys driving around with expired franchise or without any franchise, and they are considered as colorum. So the initial violation to pull this one over is driver without seatbelt. But now they're doing inspection of the vehicle and they'll find other issues. For example, this tire over here is mostly pulled. You can already see the wire underneath the rubber. You'll also see a lot of holes in the body where it's rusted through, and I would assume it's the same in the cabin in the back. And as I thought, there are holes in the main cabin at the back here. You can actually see straight through to the ground underneath. The thing is, a passenger will have to pay the same price to ride this broken down old jeepney compared to a modernized jeepney. And I recently had a conversation with the president of a certain coalition that is against PUV modernization, and his argument was, oh, it's too expensive to buy a modernized jeep, the minimum price is 2.5 M. And I said, did you join the recent PUV modernization caravan where they showed modernized jeeps from 800,000 upwards? So how can you say the minimum is 2.5 M? And then his next argument was, well, I'm protecting drivers. And then I said, how are you protecting drivers? Because if you look at those drivers who joined Beat Jeepney in Marikina, they're now having salary instead of boundary, they have benefits, and they're earning more money than before. So who's really being protected? Because to me, it only seems like those who are operating the jeepneys on the boundary system are being protected. Commuters, they're not being protected because they're being forced to ride around in these old jeeps and pay the same price as a modernized jeep. Drivers aren't being protected because they're earning less money driving this compared to a modernized jeep. So to me, it doesn't add up. Public transport, that's what this is, public transport. It's about moving commuters in a safe and comfortable way. That should always be the priority. So I'm sorry, but PUV modernization is the way, even if there are some people that keep trying to fight it under the guise of protecting people. That's not the truth. And they just pulled over this bus now because he was driving with his doors open. That encourages people to jump on and off the bus while it's moving instead of using the proper bus stops. And over here, one of the LTO were issuing a ticket for a substandard helmet because the lady was using a bicycle helmet instead of a motorcycle helmet. And if you look at these two men from the Coast Guard, they do have their own ticket books. They've been deputized by LTO. Of course, they have to go through training and exams, but they've already done that and are ready to write out tickets. They just stopped this motorcycle rider here. A lady on the back's wearing a bicycle helmet and the driver's wearing slippers, which is a dress code violation. And one more motorcycle stopped over here. You'll see the red bicycle helmet. It should have an ICC sticker, it should be a motorcycle helmet. And they're now guiding this bus to pull to the side. I'm not sure what the reason is, maybe because of all the signboards in the front. We did see in a video before where a bus actually bumped a pedestrian, and there's a good chance the reason why that happened was you couldn't see out of his window because of all the signboards. And over here they're issuing one more ticket for a bicycle helmet on the back. So the LTO are now writing out a subpoena for this jeepney over here for smoke belching. They just stopped this motorcycle rider here. You might wonder why, they're both wearing helmets. Well, apart from the fact that the driver's wearing slippers, you're not allowed a child standing on the front of the bike. The Children's Safety and Motorcycle Act says they must sit on the back, their feet must reach the foot pegs, and their arms must be able to go around the waist. So this is not allowed for safety reasons. And they just flagged over this rider for dress code violation of wearing slippers and bicycle helmet on the back. Now these operations are very good and they are catching bad behavior on the road, but it highlights a bigger issue. Fixed post enforcers, those are permanently assigned to specific areas. Most of the time they're ignoring those without helmets, tricycles on EDSA, counterflow, things like that. And you will not see a big difference until those fixed post enforcers start becoming stricter. Because these operations, while they're very good and very strict, they're very limited. They might be here for, I don't know, say 8 hours, but that's nothing compared to how big Metro Manila is. They tried to flag down this bus, but he keeps speeding away. And this is actually something that I mentioned earlier, or asked them about, do you have any motorcycle units, riders? Because if someone runs away, it's going to be very hard to capture them. Luckily, LTO have managed to stop it further along. This does happen, sometimes people will flee, and that's why you need big bikes to chase after them, but in this case they're spread out enough that they were able to stop it further along the road. I think the reason why they stopped it is because it has an improvised plate on the front. What has been known to happen in the past is that bus operators will actually duplicate their buses, and they'll have multiple buses running on the same paperwork. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but that's one of the things they're looking out for. Within the paperwork that's been submitted, there's actually a motion for consideration, because it appears that this unit or some unit that's mentioned in that paperwork was previously impounded for being out of line, which means they were operating in an area that they're not allowed to. So they're trying to get to the bottom of this now. Apparently HPG also apprehended a bus similar to this recently, so they just want to make sure everything's in order. So that bus was actually impounded. There's 2 Coast Guard on board now. Over here is another jeepney. They stopped. Initial violation, no seatbelt. And if you look at the tires, already bald of course. Even the spare tire is pretty much bald. So the initial violation for this one was no seatbelt, and then once they've stopped it, they'll check for headlights, brake lights, holes in the body, smoke belching and things like that. If they feel like it's smoke belching, what they'll do is give a subpoena where it has to present itself to the nearest MVIC and be tested on a professional machine. Well, this one has smoke from both sides. And 1 HPG rider's just arrived now. I was wondering if local police would be joining the operation. It's always a benefit to have them here for security, and in this case, since he's a rider, he can also chase down people who refuse to stop. And here comes one more to also join. And they just stopped this rider here, bicycle helmet, wearing slippers. And over here they're issuing a ticket to this gentleman, same issue, wearing a bicycle helmet. And one more over here wearing a bicycle helmet. And you see one of the DOTR IAC guys over here is actually doing a live stream, so he can walk around and show everyone what's going on. There's 223 people watching at the moment. LTO said they want to check the condition of this vehicle because they notice things like this where it's rusted through and the body, you know, the top half moves away. And apparently this one has expired registrations. The driver already had his license confiscated and he presented the ticket. The problem is the ticket has expired, it hasn't been paid. That means he's driving with an invalid license and could be subject to impounding. And over here 2 more motorcycles stopped, both with the children on the back using bicycle helmets. The problem is it gives a false sense of security because they don't offer the same protection as a genuine motorcycle helmet. Over here another motorcycle rider stopped for using a bicycle helmet, and read that t-shirt, Commute Riders. I've actually seen a lot of motorcycles with stickers and shirts like that. While I support this program to remove dilapidated jeepneys from the road, I think the LGU also needs to do something about all of the Colorum electric tricycles that are applying the same route as the jeepneys, because it's simply not fair. If you look at Pasay and Parañaque, basically both cities have been taken over by electric trikes. They don't have a driver's license, they don't have a franchise to carry passengers, they don't have any insurance, and yet they're taking all the customers from the jeepneys. This is a zebra helmet, which means it probably does have an ICC sticker. The problem is it's been modified, holes have been made, screws have been put in, and therefore they consider it as unauthorized. So the IAC team are now here in front of Pure Gold, just along from Balintawak Market. That's the driver pushing the accelerator. A lot of people argue, hey, you don't normally get black smoke like that because you don't push the accelerator that hard. But I wonder if those people have ever watched a jeepney driving, because they always hit the throttle hard, and you normally see big black clouds behind them. This man is either brave or something else. He just pulled up to the enforcers to ask for directions. The problem is he's wearing slippers and his passenger's wearing a bicycle helmet. So now they're going to actually be apprehended. The driver's already surrendered his license, so the LTO will write out the ticket now. They just stopped this one now, no seatbelt, and he's wearing slippers. Tires very bad condition. I don't know if they're going to do a full check around with the lights and things like that, but the funny thing, or not the funny thing, but the sad thing is every day there are big accidents and then people say, oh, my tire blew, or I lost my brakes. Why did that happen? It's not just by chance, it's because the vehicles aren't maintained, and often they're going too fast and driving too recklessly. You'll see this bus here blocking 2 lanes to load unload. It's not even a bus stop, so it's not meant to be doing that. And every bus behind him will be stuck, and then commuters will say, oh, why is there traffic on Edza? This bus was originally stopped for loading, unloading, not using a bus stop. and now they're looking at whether it's considered as a smoke belcher. They already took the license from this Jeepney driver. If you look at the wheels here, you'll see they're completely slick. The other side isn't slick, but it's a retread. You can see where they put a new tread on top of the tire. The problem with these is they often just come undone while you're driving along. I've seen it so many times. You see the spare is also very worn down. There hasn't been any Jeepney come past for the last 5 or 10 minutes. So they're suspecting that they're cutting trips and turning off early to avoid the operation. The truth is 99% of Jeepneys can't pass a test because they've got holes in the body, they've got poor tires, brake lights don't work, headlights don't work, no seat belt. So many reasons, but somehow they still get their registration every year. Anyway, I don't know what they're going to do because there's no more Jeepneys. They can still look at the buses and other violations though. Just stop this bus now. If you look at the tires, completely slick. Anyway, they pulled him over to the side and they're asking for the license and franchise papers now. If you look at the side here, you can see it's completely black, which indicates that most likely this is going to fail its test. This could be our feline friend of the day. I think she might be pregnant. Hello, good morning. Sorry about my hands, by the way. That's carbon from the exhaust. I think she's pregnant.